I am Dr. Yoganagender, pediatric surgeon. Welcome to all of you during this COVID season. So, as a part of routine, actually, I am wearing this mask, but here no patients are there. Actually, no one is there, no communication. So, I am removing for better visualization of myself. So, I am Yoganagender, pediatric surgeon. I am working as a consultant pediatric surgeon and pediatric urologist, pediatric laparoscopic surgeon in Apollo Cradle Kondapur in Kondapur branch. And today we thought actually we'll discuss a little bit about laparoscopy in children, how feasible is it, how possible is it, and whether actually all the parents will have the same doubt actually whether my child can have laparoscopic surgery instead of a big lapros open cut. So coming to this point, actually I thought actually we'll discuss a little bit about few of the common problems that we face and common problems with parents come to us with and what to do with that and how to diagnose little bit about actually all these things actually we'll discuss and this short period of time whichever is possible. So the first question that the parents will get is laparoscopy safe in children? If you really ask me that question, actually, the recent advances have changed a lot. So compared to, actually, we also started doing laparoscopic surgery mainly in children over the past 15, 20 years only. Before that, actually, it was more in general surgery and adults. And before that, actually, all of us used to do open surgeries only. But in the coming to last 15 years, actually, there are recent advances, anesthesia techniques, the hospitals, ICUs, and the care and the overall expertise of our pediatric laparoscopic surgeons have improved so much that we are able to do as many surgeries laparoscopically as possible whenever it is feasible. So something like there are some conditions where you cannot do laparoscopy at all. So this patient is sick or the baby is so small that actually the laparoscopy gases, all these things will cause trouble and give more problem to the child. If that is the case, then we'll advise not to go for laparoscopy. But nowadays, actually, whenever the patient deserves and whenever the patient requires and whenever the patient is feasible and practically possible, we are definitely going for laparoscopy in most of the conditions, whichever is possible. Just a little bit about actually what is laparoscopy. Anything actually we are trying to put light and instruments into the abdomen instead of putting the full hands. We'll be putting actually small instruments of around 5 mm, 3 mm, or a 10 mm instrument. So that we have telescopes like how we are using actually this video cam. So like that actually we have a camera and one right hand and one left hand. So invariably actually all of us will be having in laparoscopy three holes. Through these three small holes actually we'll be doing the same operation like what we used to do by doing a big cut on the abdomen, and that is what is called. So if you enter the abdomen it is called laparoscopy, and sometimes there are some conditions actually where we'll be entering the thorax. So this is called thoracoscopy. And so whichever you enter, actually that is called named after that. So many conditions are there actually where actually we'll be doing. We can do laparoscopy, thoracoscopy, and there is one more thing called vesicoscopic reimplantation. Something like we'll go into the vesico means okay, bladder, urinary bladder. We'll go inside the urinary bladder and do the urinary bladder operations also. And which we'll in a short while actually if possible if the time permits actually I'll try to show as many as possible. And so, in short, actually, today we'll go into our little bit of presentation. Actually, I thought actually instead of talking continuously, we'll try to show some of the small videos and clippings actually and pictures actually. We can see all these things. And the changing trend is actually we are going more towards laparoscopy in children whenever possible. Even most of the parents actually come and ask actually, doctor, can I go for laparoscopy in for my children? And this is my most important and common slide that actually I try to focus is newborns are not just small adults. Sometimes actually some people will tell what is there actually half of the adult dose if I give actually that is enough. No, their bodies are totally different and they require totally different expert care. And it is not because of the age or the size or the weight actually that we are changing the trends of going into laparoscopy. irrespective of the size and age, actually we are trying to do laparoscopy whenever it is possible. And laparoscopy is becoming nowadays actually standard of care. At least sometimes the parents themselves they ask, doctor, can I go directly for laparoscopy? And parents actually, all of you are coming into the Facebook, most of the people actually they are going into the net and going seeing and reading about the problem that their child has, and then only they'll come to us asking for what is the problem and whether laparoscopy is feasible. So for all these conditions, actually, we are trying to give laparoscopy as an option. So laparoscopy has many advantages. Something like actually it will give less pain, and you can go home early. There will be speedy recovery, and all of us actually we want to stay for minimal time in the hospital. So there are various laparoscopic procedures actually that we can do, and something like actually a commonest actually all of us actually is an appendicectomy. Appendicectomy is a common operation that all of us tend to do, and that is commonly seen in the present era. And apart from that, actually, we are doing many advanced laparoscopic surgeries, like actually doing diaphragmatic hernia, we are doing intersection operations, we are doing pylori myotomies and hernias, and in detail, actually, cholecystectomy, coldoversis, all these things we are trying to do laparoscopically. The journey starts from the antenatal diagnosis. Actually, the parents are diagnosed that a child is having a problem from the womb itself. Then the parents will be so much confused and they'll be coming to us. Actually, they'll ask, what are the problems? Actually, what should we do with this problem? Okay. So then, actually, with all the doubts in their minds of the parents, actually, we give what is called as a counseling, and then we'll talk in detail about actually what is the congenital problem their baby might be having, and what to do with that one, and how to solve the issue. All these things actually we'll be discussing, and where to do the delivery, whether normal delivery is possible, whether we have to do cesarean delivery. All these things we discuss. So the moment the fetal diagnosis, actually when the baby is inside the mother's womb, actually the diagnosis is made, there are several options which are available for the parents. Something like starting from termination of the pregnancy to where we should deliver the pregnancy, and all these doubts will be there in the parents' minds. So with all these doubts, actually we'll be trying to clear actually what we can do, whether we have to terminate the baby or whether we can do some fetal intervention which we can plan, and all these things actually we can discuss on table. So so this is what is called antenatal counseling, and we are literally preparing the parents for this. So and always actually this debate always continues actually whether every child has got a right to live. If you really ask, actually, you think for yourself, actually, if you are in our position, and if someone says, actually, does my child has got a right to live? Actually, always, obviously, we have to tell, yes, you should, the baby should be allowed to live. If at all, if it is a correctable problem. There are some problems which cannot be corrected, and for those problems, yes, of course, actually, there is no other choice, actually, other than terminating or being think logically, ethically, and medico-legally, actually, wherever the problems are correctable. And those conditions, actually, we'll give the baby a chance. Actually, after everything, who knows, actually, if your second child also might be having some other problem. So coming to MRI in fetal diagnosis, actually MRI is helping a lot in fetal diagnosis, and we can diagnose many of the problems. And MRI is supposed to be safe in pregnancy also. So coming to the topic of the day, actually we'll discuss about the laparoscopy in pediatric surgery. As you can understand, some of the instruments are quite bigger than the baby itself. But even then, actually, for pediatric modification, we have smaller instruments and smaller lightweight instruments. And with all these instruments, actually, we'll be trying to do actually we are putting actually small cuts on the baby, and with these small cuts, actually, we'll be doing the laparoscopic surgeries. And the common thing that we see is actually cholecystectomy, appendicectomy, and sometimes intersection and pyloric stenosis. These are the common problems which I will try to show pictures, because if I tell the words, actually many of you may not be able to understand unless you are very aware in the medical branch. And some renal surgeries also we can do something like actually my baby has got a kidney problem. What can we do? So for that actually we'll do sometimes actually we'll be doing like repair of the kidney, which we can do laparoscopically, which we call pyeloplasty. And sometimes the kidney is so badly damaged actually we can remove the kidney also if necessary whenever it is needed, and that also we can do laparoscopically. And overall you can understand the operative time, everything actually is reducing and the patient is able to go comfortably. I told about laparoscopic surgery where actually we'll be going into the thorax. Actually, we'll be going inside the thorax and to correct the surgical problems actually in babies where the problems are lying within the thorax. So common problems actually I'll talk about in detail in a short time, like a diaphragmatic hernia or lung problems, or sometimes actually because of the chronic infection of the lung, actually they will get what is some children will get what is called as a empyema or pleural effusions. So for that also, and for empyema, the VATS, what we to call it, video assisted thoracoscopic surgeries. Actually, they are giving actually very good results actually with minimal cuts. Actually, or else actually the babies will have very big cut, and because of very big cut, actually the children they won't be able to breathe well. So for all these problems, actually the solution is laparoscopy and thoracoscopy, and we are able to actually successfully achieve a good result actually with these laparoscopic and thoracoscopic procedures. And a last word about actually, this is about the theoretical aspect. Actually, last word is about the robotic surgery, where actually everyone nowadays, actually everyone is interested in about is the robotic surgery. Can my baby have robotic surgery? Yes, instruments are coming. Actually, as of now, we have what are called as a 12 mm, 8 mm instruments and 5 mm instruments. But these instruments are slightly bigger, and soon actually the robotic surgery people are coming up with actually very good, lovely, small, finer instrument with which actually we'll be able to give actually almost the same results as laparoscopy, small cuts, and the baby will be able to get the same result and with better magnification, better visualization, and better outcomes. So in short, actually, what a pediatric surgeon can do as a laparoscopic surgeon in your child's life. Children, again, I'm telling you, children are not just small adults. They require totally different environment. And a pediatric surgeon is a one fellow who knows actually how to tackle these children and give the best possible outcome for these babies. And the understanding about their anatomy, their physiology, everything is totally different compared to adults. There are various scopes for laparoscopy in children, and I'll talk in the coming slides. So this is what actually one slide actually I want to show you. Actually, this is what actually is the real picture that you're going to see. Actually, if you go keep on going closer and closer, you'll be getting a much magnified view. This is the view actually that you're going to get in laparoscopy, which we cannot get in any of the open surgeries because a normal eye is different. Actually, the zoom laparoscopic vision that we get is totally different. So various procedures actually I'll go through. So these are the small cuts actually you're going to get on your baby's tummy, and hardly they'll be visible after a few years after the operation is done. So RAP is recurrent abdominal pain. Often, sometimes actually some babies will come with actually what we call it as a recurrent abdominal pain. My baby is having a tummy ache actually for so many years. Actually, I'm not able to diagnose what really it is. So that is what is called the recurrent abdominal pain. So sometimes actually what we do is actually after recurrent abdominal pain evaluation and all, and some most of the tests actually we won't be able to tell anything. So this that is the time when we use laparoscopy as a diagnostic tool. Actually, it is used for diagnosis also. We'll go inside, actually we'll see all the structures in the abdomen, and then we'll see actually what is the real problem. So often actually what we find is actually some chronic appendicitis. Actually appendix is getting inflamed, but actually ultrasound or CT scan or all these things are not able to pick up because diagnostic tests are different and directly seeing a problem is totally different. So in these cases, actually, we do what we go for is in a chronic appendicitis. We go for actually diagnostic laparoscopy, and then we'll be doing actually what is called as appendicectomy, which I'll come in the next slide. And along with that, actually not only the appendix, actually we'll be able to see the whole of the abdomen, and then we'll be able to see actually what is the real problem. Sometimes mesenteric adenitis will be there, sometimes big lymph nodes will be there. We may have to take a biopsy of it, or sometimes actually even tuberculosis of the abdomen, actually which we cannot diagnose, actually which we will be able to diagnose by doing a laparoscopy. So laparoscopy, there are so many advantages, and one common good advantages in the case of recurrent abdominal pain in children. And earlier, when we used to see some X-ray like this, actually we used to think about doing a laparotomy, means actually we operate the abdomen, so which will give a very bad scar throughout the life. So for that, actually we are trying to do laparoscopy. And this is the appendicitis actually that I am talking about. Actually, the same child, actually for that, actually if the surgery was done, actually you can see that the child is having a very big cut. To get this operation done, actually we have to do this much of big cut to open everything. And after everything, you will see actually it is only an appendix which is the problem, and we'll be doing the appendectomy operation. But if you can see actually laparoscopy, we are able to achieve the same results by doing a laparoscopy, where we'll be seeing the appendix directly in laparoscopy, and we'll be solving the problem with three small cuts, and hardly all of them will be visible actually in the future life. This is the advantage. And in short about actually what are the other various actually applications of laparoscopy. So sometimes children will come with what is called as an umbilical discharge. My child has got an umbilical discharge in the umbilicus. From that, actually the umbilicus it is leaking, and then we can find out that actually it might be because of the Meckel's diverticulum, as we can see, or it can be because of the intestines or a urinary system which can be attached to that. So in these cases also we do laparoscopically, and then we'll solve the tissue issue by doing laparoscopic operation. And one other common thing that usually a 6 month or 8 month baby actually that they'll see is my child is having actually intussusception. So intussusception is where what actually one bowel is going into the other bowel. That is what is we call it as an intussusception. And in this intussusception, actually the bowel is going into the other bowel. So for that, actually first we'll give conservative management by doing by using what is called as a hydrostatic reduction, which we try to do by using ultrasound and without operation. And if it fails, actually, then we'll be going for what is called as a laparoscopy, and then we'll be doing settling the issue without making a big cut. Actually, when we were studying and we were reading in the books, actually, we used to have make big cuts, and through the big cuts only we used to get achieve this result. But nowadays, with small cuts or no cuts, we are able to get this result. So common thing actually that all of us see. Actually, my child has got gallstones. What should we do? Should it be treated or not? Actually, what is the reason for that? Actually, should we do the operation or not? For that, actually, the answer is if you have we have to see actually whether the child has got what we call it as a pigment stones, or actually or else actually regular cholesterol stones. So pigment stones are where actually the child is having a hemolytic anemia. Some blood problem will be there. The blood is getting it is, getting cut, and the hemoglobin is getting accumulated, and which is going to form what is called the pigment stones. Then the treatment is a little bit different, and finally the treatment in a child for gallbladder stones is again actually even if the symptoms are there or not, actually the treatment for this gallstones is removal of this gallbladder, because if unless you remove this gallbladder, the stones can form again and again and again. And these small stones, as you can see, actually they can start going into what is we call it as the next foot pipe, next pipe, that is a common bile duct, and that can lead to jaundice. So we don't want actually a child to unnecessarily go into jaundice. And so the treatment for this is actually doing a laparoscopic cholecystectomy. So this is how actually we do a laparoscopic cholecystectomy. You are able to see the beautiful view actually we are going to get, and in with this view actually we'll be able to remove, and we'll be taking care of what we call it as a common bile duct, which is be here, and we'll be taking care of this, and then we'll be removing the gallbladder in total. So the common doubts that actually all of the parents will have is, you are removing the gallbladder from my child, actually is it going to be safe? and can my baby actually live a normal life? So gallbladder is a good structure actually where it will be storing the bile which is secreted from the liver. This is the liver. From the liver, the bile will come into the gallbladder, and when the day actually when you have a very heavy oily stuff, oily meal, that is the day actually then this gallbladder will be releasing the uh, bile juice, and onto that actually too much of oily stuff. So the only advice actually that we give is to try not to eat too much of oily stuff, which nowadays actually none of the civilized person is eating much of oily stuff, as you all of you can understand that. So laparoscopy is a very important tool for removal of this gallbladder stone, which is one. These are the common things that we see. Coming to the pediatric surgery per se, actually, there are many things actually that we see. One common thing that all of us see is actually a choledochal cyst. So choledochal cyst is something actually that is because of uh, I showed you the gallbladder. So outside the gallbladder, actually, there is one pipe called actually CBD, common bile duct. Sometimes, actually, because of the amylase which is coming from the pancreatic juice, actually, there will be damage to the walls of the gallbladder, common bile duct, and it will be leading to dilatation of this CBD or choledochal, which will lead to what is called as a choledochal cyst. If this choledochal cyst is there, actually, as you can see here, actually, it will be grossly dilated. So, because of this, it is grossly dilated, it can lead to jaundice, it can lead to pain, it can lead to gallstones formation later. And earlier, we used to do a big operation. Actually, it needs to be removed. Actually, because in 50 or 60 years of life, these things can go into cancer. So we don't want cancers in something that we know already that my child is having. So for this, earlier we used to do it with large cuts. So nowadays, actually, because of the advent of the laparoscopy, we are able to do laparoscopically all this big operation, which usually takes around 3 to 5 hours of operation. And often, actually, how actually we'll be able to diagnose is actually they'll be having usually asymptomatic. Suddenly, one ultrasound will be done. So that ultrasound will be able to pick up that actually yes, your child has got a full double cyst. So then actually you will be getting one further test and all, and you'll be getting one MRCP and CT scan if necessary, and then you will find out that actually your child has got a choledochal. So once the choledochal diagnosis is made, so then actually we'll do the next corrective operation, that is um, doing a laparoscopic choledochoduodenostomy, which is the latest concept nowadays. And because it is more physiological and early recovery will be there and less morbidity. Here you can see this hole that choledochal cyst is removed, and we are attaching the duodenum, or sometimes actually we took a ruined by loop actually of a jejunum, and then we'll be anastomosing, suturing it back to this area. So this whole thing actually we are able to do nowadays actually with laparoscopy. So sometimes actually what happens actually if choledochal cysts are there, actually this is a 3 months old child actually where actually you can see the liver surface is not smooth, it is rough. It is rough because actually already the damage has started. So because the damage has started, actually we are trying to do an early operation. And for this baby, actually we have done in our Apollo hospital that we have done choledochoduodenostomy and laparoscopically, and the child is comfortable, actually playful, and no problems at all now. No. And this is one more child actually where actually the diagnosis is means they came late, and they found out that actually they are having these green things actually they are, you are saying actually they are the stones, the early calculi which have formed. And then this is the choledochal cyst that after removal, and on the abdomen if you can see actually there is hardly any scar which is there seen on the abdomen. So all these small scars actually all of them will disappear over years. And this is the big cyst actually I'm talking about, actually they'll be removed laparoscopically successfully. And if at all, if this child had to go for an open operation, this is what is the bad scar actually which we have to give to the child lifelong. And here you can see actually with these small holes, we are able to achieve the same result. So, in a 1 month, 2 months baby, actually, what we see is that what commonly called as a hypertrophic pyloric stenosis. The treatment for this is pyloromyotomy. Earlier, what we used to do, actually, we used to make a big cut on the abdomen and of around 1.5 inches. And that through that inch, 1.5 inch, actually, we used to get this pyloric tumor. Actually, we'll be bringing it out and we'll be making a cut in it and then we'll be solving the problem. So now we are able to do the same thing by using laparoscopy. And the cuts will be as usual, I told, actually very minimal, hardly they'll be seen. And some other common things actually that most of the you must have encountered is my neighbor is having an anorectal malformation, means anus is not there. Sometimes actually there is constipation, and these are the common conditions actually which we commonly see. And for that actually we do colostomy, and after colostomy also next stage actually we will be doing it laparoscopically. And sometimes actually we will be doing what is called directly we will be doing connecting it to the anus, and that is called a single stage procedure. Nowadays, the trend is more towards a single stage procedure, which are the common vogue nowadays. And we are trying to do as much as possible in a single stage. And if a single stage is not possible, then we'll be doing a colostomy in the newborn period and pull throughs and colostomy closure. And some of these procedures actually we'll be able to add on a laparoscopic procedure also to achieve the better outcomes. Unfortunately, colostomy in our area is a social stigma. So for this social stigma, actually we are trying to do more of a single stage procedures actually where we'll be doing in the first stage itself. And another common thing actually sometimes we see is malrotation of the gut. The intestines have not rotated properly; they have rotated in a wrong way, and some people actually they prefer to do actually laparoscopically the same operation. The operation actually we'll be doing and we'll be separating this whole thing, or else the whole intestine can go into gangrene. So I'm just going through the spectrum of all the problems that we will be seeing, and in the I think there is some newborn problem called esophageal atresia, where the esophagus did not develop. Esophagus developed only till here. It did not have a communication with the stomach. So this pipe, this much pipe actually did not connect properly. So for these conditions, actually we do a newborn operation, and then immediately within the day or two after getting a heart test done and some basic tests, and then actually we'll be doing operation, and then we'll be connecting this whatever ends which are not connected. So earlier we used to do it actually with very big cuts on the chest. Actually nowadays actually we are able to achieve the same result by doing thoracoscopic surgery also, means by using laparoscopy in the thorax. Same instruments actually will be used in the thorax. That is what is called as a thoracoscopic operation. Hirschsprung's is another common thing actually which we can encounter in pediatric age group, where intestines won't be functioning well. So it can be a small segment, it can be a complete segment, it can be a larger segment. So, but this is the normal colon. Actually, it should be functioning like this. And but in a case of Hirschsprung's disease, where the child will be presenting with constipation, and for those children actually we will be labeling them as Hirschsprung's after some tests, and then we'll be doing actually operations for that. Some like we'll do colostomy, we'll do laparoscopic pull through, and various procedures can be done. But that will be the final treatment for the baby. And this is how the abdomen will be looking. Actually, it is grossly dilated, and the intestines are not moving properly. For these conditions, actually, we'll be doing laparoscopic procedures and open procedures also as and when necessary. So the most important thing is actually which condition, which procedure we should do, whether we have to do laparoscopy, whether we have to do open. Everything depends and it will be decided by the child and the surgeon. So, and if you can see, actually, this child we are able to do without laparoscopy, and sometimes we will be assisting a laparoscopy also to this primary transcendental endorectal pull through. So one more thing that actually we see is um, hydrated cyst of the lung and the liver. Actually, you must have heard my baby has got hydrated cyst. It will be something like actually small water bubbles actually which will be formed, and they can be there within the liver, or sometimes it can be seen in the lung also, and those things actually will be able to manage laparoscopically, which is more feasible and more practical nowadays. That's what I have understood. And in the abdomen, actually, sometimes in the newborns children also we see what is called as a ovarian cyst. It can be a simple ovarian cyst or it can be a dermoid cyst, where actually sometimes actually we'll be seeing hair also, actually teeth also, some other things. For these things, actually, earlier we had to do a laparotomy, but nowadays with the advent of the laparoscopy, actually we are able to remove everything and settle the issue by doing a laparoscopic procedure. And someone has asked just now actually about actually what compared to the open surgery in pediatrics, how is laparoscopy better? So any day actually laparoscopy, if possible, feasible, laparoscopy is always better because the vision that we are going to get actually is it makes a definitely a huge difference. Actually, the vision that we get in laparoscopy is totally different, and the vision we get in through a naked eye is totally different. So we are using the technology. Actually, nowadays, actually, all of us are using. You are using Facebook. Actually, we are able to talk. We are able to discuss the practical problems of the children in the Facebook, and so we are using the technology. So that way, same way, we have to use the laparoscopy, which is a tool which is available nowadays. And the future is going to be actually a robotic surgery. It is just a modification of the laparoscopy. That is also going to be a very good tool actually in the future. So we have to use that, and the child will go home with minimal cuts and very good results. And the big cut, the big means the long pain, actually all these things won't be there if it all if we are using uh, laparoscopy in children. So coming to the common problem, actually, all of us actually see is my child has got, most of the parents tell my child has got an inguinal hernia, doctor. There is a swelling in the groin, and first question they'll ask is actually it is there seen on the right side or left side. So, doctor, does my child have the same hernia on the other side? So earlier, what we used to tell, yes, it is possible. Maybe it can come later. So this is what is the usual answer that we used to give earlier. But nowadays, with the advent of the laparoscopy, if we are seeing the hole on one side, actually this is what we see from the inside. There will be a small hole, and then we'll immediately we'll see on the opposite side actually whether the hole is there or not. If the hole is not there on the opposite side, actually we can clearly see your baby doesn't have a hole on the other side, so your doesn't baby will never get it on the other side. And and on the at the same time, if the same similar hole is seen on the right and left side, we will be able to do tackle the both the problems at the same time, and lifelong actually child need not come again with the lapros hernia problem. This is the best advantage of laparoscopy in inguinal hernia. So this is the hole actually I'm talking about. Actually, this hole can be seen, and we can treat both sides at the same time. And one more thing actually that we see is undescended testis. Actually, undescended testis means the testis which is supposed to be there in the scrotum, it is not there in the scrotum. It is somewhere high up because actually testis will develop from the umbilical area, and then slowly it will start coming down. So in that process of coming down during the ninth month, it did not come down. So then actually what we do is actually we have to do an operation at after 6 months of age. Till 6 months we wait. If the child testis is not coming down, and then if it is outside the groin means actually below this line. If it is below this line, actually we'll be doing an open operation. And if it is above this line, it is inside the abdomen, then actually we do what is called as a laparoscopy, and we'll see where is the testis, and then actually we'll try to bring it down. Posterior valves is some other thing. Actually, cystoscopy is some other technical and modification, innovation that actually which has come, where we'll be passing one light through this urethra, and then actually we'll be seeing that one small cut is uh, membrane is there. We'll be cutting this membrane. This is just to show actually what are all the types of the procedures that a pediatric surgeon does, and how technology is helping him. And I was talking about the laparoscopy. Actually, I was telling actually the testis can be there seen which is inside. If it is inside, actually, then we have to bring this testis and mobilize this, and then actually we have to bring it, and then we have to place it in the right place in the right in this right correct scrotum. So minimal access surgery is changing, and minimal access surgery means laparoscopy, thoracoscopy, all these things that we put together, we call it as a minimal access surgery. So minimal access surgery is helping us a lot in this journey. Actually, we are able to do actually successfully most of the surgeries at laparoscopically. And sometimes it happens that actually my child is having actually commonly having frequently lung infections. For these lung infections, actually, so for these lung infections, actually we'll be evaluating, and then in this child, if you can say, actually there is a small bubble type thing. So later we found out that it is a case of a Morgagni diaphragm hernia, and then there are various types of diaphragmatic hernias. Actually, the holes can be there. Usually the posterior hole, and sometimes actually anterior hole Morgagni hernia, and these are all the holes that can be there in the diaphragm. Diaphragm is the membrane which will be separating the chest from the abdomen. So because of this, actually what happens, actually all the intestines have gone into the chest. So intestines which are supposed to be here have gone into the chest, and for that actually we have to bring it down, and then we have to repair this diaphragm. And we are earlier we used to make a big cut. Actually now we are able to do it with small thoracoscopic procedures, and then this is the final outcome. Actually everything will be pushed down, and the lung will be means lung will have adequate space, and then this hole will be closed. So thoracoscopy, thoracotomy, definitely significant difference is there, and the child's breathing capacity will increase. Child will be able to breathe comfortably after the surgery, and we are not leaving a bad scar on the abdomen, on the chest. So the same child I was talking about, this is the finding, and you can see there is a small hole in the anterior aspect of the diaphragm. Actually, through this hole, actually to access this hole, we have earlier we had to make a very big cut. So nowadays, with the advent of this laparoscopy, actually we are able to give the child very minimal small cuts. So this is Morgagni hernia. Actually, you can see that it is going inside, and the vision that you're going to get, and you are able to see the on the left side, on the right side, and you can go inside also, which a normal eye, normal hands cannot go. So this is the advantage of laparoscopy, and then it will be able to close all these holes, and then we are going to leave this child with actually very minimal cuts, and which barely will be seen in this lifetime. So this is the X-ray. Actually, earlier you were saying that all the intestines are here, and now all the intestines are pushed down, and we'll be doing the whole thing with the small cuts. This is the diaphragmatic hernia again, and this is the final outcome. Actually, the baby will be having one small cuts. And minimal access surgery is again actually trying to insist that actually newborns and pediatric age group we are able to successfully do minimal access surgeries. So So there are many questions actually we try to answer. Most of the questions actually luckily I answered in my presentation. And one more, Rachna has asked about children frequently have stomach pain. That is what actually I try to speak in our that is right. What I tried to talk in our recurrent abdominal pain, that is what we commonly see. I try to tell you that recurrent common abdominal pain, what we tend to see is actually child will be having frequent pains. Actually, something like it goes on for years. You will be meeting so many pediatricians, so many doctors, so many times actually you might be encountering. My child has got actually pain, and he'll be continuously crying. So this is the condition actually when we understand that actually there might be some problem which none of the investigations actually ultrasound, CT scan, all these things are not able to detect. So for these problems actually what we tend to do is actually we call it as a diagnostic laparoscopy. So I told actually earlier we do we see the abdomen, we put a scope through the abdomen, and then we'll see inside the abdomen, And then what are the real problems? See, does the child has got some other issue? Some intestines are normal or not? Some intestines infection is there, and sometimes actually there will be because of the infection there will be what is called as adhesions. The intestines are stuck to the abdomen. So in those conditions, actually, what we try to do is actually we just release that stuck part, so that settles the problem. Or often what we see again, I'm insisting that there will be what is called as appendicitis, which is coming and going with the medications. Sometimes, unfortunately, parents who do so much of self-medications. With these self-medications also, actually, the appendicitis problems actually slowly they'll keep on going. And so then we'll be able to find out actually, no, the appendix is the problem. And then for that, actually, we have to settle the problem by doing a appendicectomy. That is what we call it as recurrent abdominal pain. And especially in girls, actually, recurrent abdominal pain is very important because in girls, if we don't tackle the appendix problem, and next to that will be the ovary. And if you don't tackle the ovary appendix properly on time, the ovaries can go into recurrent additions, and the ovaries can get damaged, and finally they may land up with fertility issues. So future they may not be able to conceive the babies properly. In short, about pediatric urology, what urology part we do, actually how laparoscopy is helping us in doing urological work. There are so many procedures. Actually, the commonest procedure that we do is a hydronephrosis, actually where the kidney is dilated, and because of the block, so that can be tackled with laparoscopy. And there are various problems. Something like kidney is dilated, the ureters are dilated, and the bladder itself is a problematic one. So for all these things, actually, the technology has improved, and laparoscopy and cystoscopy and vasectomy I was talking about, where we enter the bladder, all these things are helping us. So here you can see this kidney is damaged, blocked because of this small block which is there. And then actually we laparoscopically we'll be removing this one, and then we'll be attaching these two this pelvis to the ureter by doing the laparoscopic surgery, and with three small holes. And nowadays trend is changing more from the open to laparoscopy for these problems, which is what we call as a laparoscopic pyeloplasty. This is how the laparoscopic pyeloplasty is advancing. This is what is the dilated pelvis, and this is the block, and this is the normal ureter. So we'll be cutting off this piece, and then we'll be attaching this normal ureter to this pelvis, and that settles the issue for this patient. This is the laparoscopic view of pyeloplasty. And this is what actually is another patient actually where the kidney is totally damaged, and it is replaced by what are called multiple cysts. This is what we call it as a multicystic dysplastic kidney. So this kidney is not functioning. So this kidney needs to be removed. As you can see, it's such a big kidney. So if to remove this one, we have to make a big cut. And luckily, because of the laparoscopy, actually we are able to do all these things actually by doing small operations. We talked about posturethral valve. There is a small valve. Actually, we'll be able to tackle it by doing cystoscopic fulguration of the valves. Actually, here this is how a cystoscopy is done, and then we'll be tackling it. Earlier, we used to do what is called as a vesicostomy, and even now we do vesicostomy whenever cystoscopy is not feasible or not practical or not working out. So one more thing here I want to add is actually laparoscopy means a doctor should do it laparoscopy. It is not like that. A knowledgeable doctor or a sensible doctor, what he is supposed to do is actually he should convert whenever necessary. So to remove this damaged kidney, all these things, if at all necessary, or to repair this one, we are using laparoscopy nowadays easily. And there are some abdominal masses, some tumors, cancer. Actually, these tumors actually we can remove laparoscopically, comfortably, and with better magnification, better views. So, and I told you about the cyst. Actually, this is the ovarian cyst. Actually, if at all to remove this one, we have to make a big cut. But laparoscopy, we are able to do with 3 mm, 5 mm, small cuts. So this is how actually we are doing thoracoscopy. We are seeing inside the thorax. So these are the various procedures I told you about diaphragmatic hernia, and there are various advantages of that, and what is the ideal time to operate, and all we'll be deciding. And the diaphragmatic hernia is a very important topic, actually, which we can do it in our next sessions. And this is how actually, this is the scar that I wanted to show you. This small negligible scar, hardly you are able to see. With this, actually, we are able to close this one, and then we are able to repair this with small cuts. And uh, and uh, I, I videos I'll try to skip for the next session. And some lung issues are also there. Actually, we are able to do laparoscopically nowadays, thoracoscopically nowadays. And coming to fetal surgery is another thing actually where actually people are venturing into. And and in short, actually, I'll try to talk. And Most of the questions I have noted down, and most of the questions actually what all of many people have asked is same question again, coming back to the point of discussion from the beginning. And is laparoscopy safe in my child? Can my child go for laparoscopy? That is the latest trend. That we are, now the trend is more towards actually we are trying to use all the gadgets which are there in our hands, and we are trying to give the best outcome and trying to give the best to our child. And the laparoscopy in this journey at least is allowing us to reach that success point, and then we are able to get avoid big cuts and painful procedures for the children, and we are able to do laparoscopically most of the procedures. And if at all, if you have the doubts and all, actually, I'll be available in Apollo Cradle, Kondapur, and you can go through our website also, and then you can see in our website actually the pediatric laparoscopic surgeon.com. Actually, in that I have written actually in short about what are the common problems that we see. And our areas of interest will be something like pediatric laparoscopy and pediatric urology and robotic surgery, which is going to be the trend in the future. And in the pediatric laparoscopic surgeon.com, actually, you can find most of the procedures. And yeah, I have seen actually, again, I'm telling actually the doubts actually, most of the questions actually, most of the parents asked us about the feasibility. Yes, laparoscopy is feasible, and laparoscopy is the answer for all of the and most of the problems wherever we are able to do it. And laparoscopy is something which we do it for actually what is there inside the abdomen, and all the masses, cysts and all, actually we are able to do it with minimal cuts and which are hardly seen. And if at all, if we are doing the same procedures in the thorax, it is called as a thoracoscopy. And if at all, if we are doing the bladder, urinary bladder problems, where we call it as a reflux reimplantations are done, we call it as a vesicoscopic procedure. Whatever it is, the principle is same. We are using 3 mm, 5 mm, 10 mm. Means you can understand, no? Hardly the size of the actually our pen or a refill of that size cuts, and which will leave very good scars. And overall the outcome and time in the hospital for the child is going to be pleasant and painless. So laparoscopy is really changing the treatment aspect in child, and giving happiness to the families. And you can, all of you should actually utilize this facility, and then all of you should uh, go for laparoscopy whenever it is possible. Actually, when in our initial first consultation, we'll be telling you, yes, laparoscopy is feasible. Laparoscopy is not possible. We can tell you clearly. And one more most important point I am trying to tell you here is, there are some conditions where actually we are asking to planning to go for laparoscopy, and on table something bleeding is there, something it is not going to work out. So it is not going to be a big procedure. That is the time actually when we have to extend it, and we have to make the operation successful by doing very minimal cut. That is what is called as a conversion into open operation. A sensible, good, knowledgeable, and caregiving doctor, definitely he will convert when as and when necessary. And but it is very rare. Actually, it happens very rarely. But it is very not very important for you to understand as parents why my baby's laparoscopy is converted into an open operation. It should not be considered taken as a failure, as a failure. It should be thought that yes, doctor has done the right thing which is necessary for my child. Any doctor, no, actually he'll try to give you the best, give the parent the best, because as and when the child is admitted with us, and we consider that actually it is our own baby, and we'll try to give you the best outcome as if it is our own baby. and on when we're going to give you the best outcome for your baby. And laparoscopy is able to help doctors, pediatric surgeons in achieving this goal. And pediatric surgery is a special branch actually where the kids' problems can be understood by pediatric surgeon in a very well emotionally different way as compared to adult surgery. And the workplace actually that we are able to work is actually, as you can understand, actually our adult abdomens are big. The pediatric abdomen is very small, and in this very small area, actually with this very small instruments, actually we'll be able to do it because of our expertise. And then we are day in day out, and we are doing the same procedures in the very small space. So, so pediatric surgery, laparoscopic surgery, and the latest technology, all of you should use it, and then we'll be interacting you like this in future sessions also, and we'll be trying to give the best outcome to your baby and your families. Thank you for your patient listening. And most of the doubts actually that I've even asked, actually I have answered in all of in the short video presentation actually that I have tried to do it. And thank you, and stay safe, and don't forget about the social distancing. And whenever you're going out, don't forget to put your mask on. Okay, I'm Yognagin, the pediatric surgeon, again going back into my mask and into this COVID season. And stay safe and maintain the social distancing. Good day, and all the best for all of you and your children.